and welcome to the first layer. My name's Richard, and there's nobody over there because Brian is still out of town. Welcome to the first layer. Welcome to Ask for Help. This is the show that answers your questions about 3D printing. Now, today I want to start off by bringing up a new thread that I saw on Facebook. Let me just change cameras here so we've got one good solid look. There we go. All right. So hello to everybody. I see we have some new people. We have some returning people. Thank you very much. If you haven't already, please hit that like button down below because it really goes a long way to helping us out. All right, Ben Brady, Dwayne King, Non-Fam, Gary T, Ken Salt, Pierre, 3D HP, Scarecrow, Cord XTC, Peter Reynolds, and DJ Minima. I always get that right or wrong. Snapshots here, FPV. We've got Eric Anderson, and I think that's everybody. Jerry, how's the weather in Vegas? That's what I want to know. Hey, there's HVAC A to Z. Hello, everyone, he says. All right, so what I want to bring up here real quick is software. Let's just quickly talk about software for a second. There are many different slicers. There's many different free slicers out there, but the one I want to focus on today, or for this next few minutes, is Simplify 3D. Now, anybody who has Simplify 3D, like myself, who bought it, I think I bought mine almost 5 years ago now. There hasn't been any significant update. And in 2018 or 2019, there was some speculation that they were going to be rolling out a Simplify 3D 5, which was going to cost everybody, including users of Simplify 3D, that in the agreement says that you get free update from level to level. So it has not been worked on, I don't believe, for a long time. If anybody's got any inside information into this, I would really love to hear it. So here's what it says. Since Simplify 3D seems to have faded into the abyss, it would be great if they make it open source, so users with programming skills can update and improve it, and it doesn't just die away as it gets left behind by other free slicers. There's a lot of me that agrees with this statement. If you agree with this statement, please put hell yeah in the chat today. I'd really like to see that. But that statement alone says to me that we've got a problem in this field now. We have Prusa Slicer, we have Cura, we have there's several others I know. There's Matter Control, there's a few others out there. Repetier Host was the one I was trying to think of earlier. But all of these are free for the most part. Yeah, there's pro upgrades that you can get for them. But Simplify 3D, what they had done and haven't really done since, is they brought out a full-blown program that you could do a lot of things with. But they haven't maintained it in many, many years. I think the last update I got was in 2019. And I haven't really, maybe I got an update in 2020, but I don't really have seen a lot of growth on Simplify 3D. Now, how many people actually use Simplify 3D that are in the chat today? I'd really like to know. Idea Maker rocks. Yes, Idea Maker does do a great job. And if you go back and watch our head-to-head, we did do of all the free ones that we thought were the best for people getting started in 3D printing. And I agree that Idea Maker has a lot of features and a lot of benefit to it. However, I also think that Cura has stepped up their game in a major, major way. Ultimaker Cura has become pretty much the de facto standard across the board. What do most 3D printers sell with now or ship with? They ship with a version of Cura. So at the end of the day, Cura, I think, is going to be a lot better for the beginner than it is to go and spend $150, especially if they're asking you to do something crazy. Dominic Versetto says, I spent a full day trying different orientations and custom supports to get enough horizontal support to keep narrow parts of my print from falling over while printing. Any thoughts? Which slicer are you using to start off with? I imagine you're using Cura. However, there is a way to put supports where you need them, and that is in the latest version, I believe. Have you tried tree supports? Is something else I would try, Dominic? If you're having problems, I know Peter Reynolds was having problems printing claws on a printer or on a print for the Balrog. The claws just weren't coming out, so I've been trying to reorientate it to get a good setup so that all the claws will print. However, at the end of the day, you are still going to be dealing with cleaning off that support from small areas. You got to remember too that if you are printing something that has a lot of holes in it that needs to have support, that may cause you a problem down the road as well. When you're removing those supports, you may accidentally break things. Jerry over at 3D HP, he uses S3D daily. I don't anymore. I think that I use Cura daily now. To be perfectly honest with you, I only use Simplify 3D now when I'm trying to do something very specific. But other than that, I tend to use Cura most often. Matt Gurman says he uses Cura, and he also has Cheeto Box, which is also a very good slicer if you're doing anything in the resin field. Randy says he uses it with Maker Gear M3S. Okay. HVAC says I bought S3D and put Prusa Slicer is now what I prefer. Okay. If they would speed up Cura, it takes forever to load. Yes, I agree with you on that, Ken. It does take forever to load. But part of that is with all the stuff that they're adding, all the libraries, all the new printer profiles. They are constantly updating their printer profiles. I didn't even know for the longest time that they had Voron printer profiles already built into Cura. And they do, which is amazing. History Builder says, I have the worst troubles with warping corners. I use Cura. Just FYI, I have no idea what to do. Okay. History Builder, here's what I would do. If you're having corners lifting on you, first and foremost, you want to adjust your temperature. Temperature is a very big thing. If your filament is flowing too rapidly or the temperature is too high on your filament, then what's going to happen is it's going to shrink much faster than it should, and that's going to cause those lifting corners. Also, if the bed itself is too hot, it can cause that shrinkage and those lifting corners. So maybe try reducing your temperatures to start with. That would be preferable. If it's a very thin piece, like let's say you're trying to put something thin down like this ring, I would probably put in the little corner tabs, which you can now do in Cura. I believe it's a plugin if it's not done natively. I never use those. They're great for very thin pieces because they add support to those corners and make a sort of a little round disc. I have many other slicers and need to try them more. That's from Jerry. Eric Anderson, XYZware Pro. Okay, I've never heard of that. Matt Gurman. In Cura, there's the marketplace. You'll find custom supports, download, and you can place the support wherever you want. I agree with that, Matt. I've used custom supports. I think it works great. Again, it's all going to be dependent on where you need that support. Steve L says, Prusa Slicer, new version 2.4, Alpha 1, has some great new features. I'll have to definitely check that out. And there's DeWitt. My wife is not with us, so I'm reading the comments as we go through here up on my screen. So if I'm not looking directly at you, you know why. Hey, I want to remind you guys that today, this show is brought to you by me. Yes, by shopthefirstlayer.com. Right now, our site is under construction. We're going to get a whole new look. We're going to get a lot of new products up there. not just t-shirts and swag. So you'll be able to get some stuff very soon from Shop the First Layer, and it's going to be something that is constantly evolving. So if you're looking to get one of these shirts, they're $20 from small to extra large, and they're $25 from 2XL up to 5XL. So they are all really nicely done. They're 100% cotton. They're Gildan heavyweight shirts, so I think they're 8.6 ounce. They're very comfortable. Like, I'm wearing one of them right now, and they are awesome. Tom Jar, one of our community members, was the first to purchase a couple of these, so we have sizes in stock. Just message me on Facebook by Messenger, and if you want one, I will tell you how you can get one. Okay, so let's DeWitt. Let's talk about DeWitt really quick. Tim, our good friend from DeWitt 3D Canada, he's been working on his rat rig build, and I believe he's got another rat rig video coming out very, very soon. Please go and check out DeWitt 3D's channel. Also, I want you to go and check out 3DHP. That's our good friend Jerry Knapp. He's got some great stuff. He does a live stream every week. Just a great place to go and hang out and talk about 3D printing. Let's talk about Clipper. Ken Salt is asking. Now, as far as Clipper goes, I'm sorry Brian's not here. He's our Clipper expert. I don't know a lot about Clipper just yet. I have worked with it a little bit, but I don't know a lot about it. Dwayne King, I'm getting layer shifts on my Ender 3 along the y-axis. Check your belts. Make sure, and check your eccentric nuts. Make sure that there's no stoppage when you're moving that bed back and forth on the y-axis. If your belt is too loose, you're going to have to tighten it up. That can cause slop. Also, if your eccentric spacer's on the bottom, and I had an eccentric spacer right here. Here's an eccentric spacer. That's what they look like. Okay? Hopefully that'll focus in. There you go. That's an eccentric spacer. You see how the hole is off center? This is going to move the wheel in and out. So you want to definitely check that. So RC with Adam says, hi, what's the simplest way to upgrade my official CR-10 with silent stepper drivers? I've seen people talking about the SKR motherboards, but it seems to be a bit confusing. Thanks. You can do it with the SKR motherboards. There is a silent board that you can get from Creality themselves. It is a 32-bit board, and it is not a bad board all around. It already comes pre-programmed, so that's something I would check into as well. The reason I like the boards from SKR is because you can remove the stepper. So if you have a stepper that goes bad, you can just pop it and away you go. Hey everybody! All right, everybody's saying hi. Okay, I'll check my nuts. I'll check the nuts. The way it says, that's the one I haven't checked. Yeah, check those eccentric spacers, and remember not to overload them. If you overload them, you're going to get a dropout. So what'll happen is that bed will move, and it'll come to a stop where it feels like it fell into a hole or a dip, and it really hasn't. It's just because that eccentric spacer is too tight. Alrighty. So talking about that kind of stuff, eccentric spacers, they're all over 3D printers these days. And that's one of the problems I run into when, people ask me to come out and have a look at their printer, is they've tightened up all the eccentric spacers way too tight. You'll know you're tight enough when the bed moves without any kind of real play in it. You are going to get some play because of the bolts and the way that the springs are mounted. You will get a little play in the top. But if that whole tray on the bottom is moving, then you've got a real problem, because then you have to tighten up those eccentric spacers, and you'll have to do them at the same time. So you want to do a little on the front, a little on the back, a little on the front, a little on the back. And the same thing goes for the X-axis and the Z-axis. So when you're doing the Z-axis, what I like to do is I like to make sure that the machine is off. I will take something of equal size, usually a couple of, do I even have any down here? I probably do not have any down here. Normally I use 1, 2, 3 blocks, and they help me to get that set right. And then what I'll do first and foremost is I'll unload the load that's on those wheels that are on the Z-axis. I'll drop it right down, make sure it's even, then I'll load them back up. That's usually the better way to go. All right, so let me see if I can get into a couple more questions here. Do I have a step-by-step for Cura for beginners? Yes, there's many Cura videos, not on the latest version of Cura, but I think the last one I did was 4.6 or 4.8. You can definitely check that out. I will be doing an updated video because there's a lot of stuff that's come out in 4.11. So I do want to make sure that you guys have all that information. Trevor says, I got a quick question. You got an Ender 3 V2 with the BL Touch, and it seems like I can never level the bed. Any tips or tricks? First and foremost, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you've leveled the bed manually. Then you have to set the offset. This is something that a lot of people miss, and it's not clearly laid out in the directions of most 3D printers, and Creality is the same way. They don't really lay it out for you. But what you're going to have to do is heat up that head and heat up the bed, then bring down that nozzle and have a piece of paper there. When that nozzle just touches the paper, you can feel just a very little bit of drag. Then you want to record that number. If it's in the minus, you're going to make sure that that goes into your offset. So if you come down below the 0 to, let's say, minus 2.1, you're going to want to make sure that you have that set in your offset so that the printer knows that this is where it should be printing. Okay? Hopefully that helped you. Ken says he just got his first Delta, an FL Sun Super Racer. Great. I hope you're enjoying it. I don't use a Delta myself. I would like to get one, though, just to try it out. I'm not a big fan of Deltas. I have used them in the past. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I'd like to have one in the studio so that when folks come to me with their problems on that type of printer, then I can suss it out for them. Morgan says, use a Post-it note when checking the level. Yes, Morgan, I use a Post-it note too, or a piece of copy paper or printer paper, whatever you like. I prefer the Post-it notes because they're small enough that I can move them around the bed pretty easily. So yes, that is a very good tool. It's the cheapest tool you're ever going to have, and you probably have packs of them around your house somewhere, if not in your office. I would never advocate stealing from your office, just so everybody knows. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody's questions in that last little rant, but yes, let me talk a little bit about yesterday's video that didn't come out. I was down on Friday with a severe migraine. I was down the whole day. And I will be getting that video up for our members here on Monday. So you guys will get to see it on Monday, probably mid-afternoon it'll be up. And then Tuesday morning it'll be up for the regular folks. And then we will also be putting out our regular episode at the end of the week. Affix to, or Affix 2000. If you can not go minus, you need to turn something off. I forgot to turn off something. You need to send a code command with Octoprint or Proton something. What you're referring to is print run. Yes, you'll have to use another way to do that if you don't. And it's M122. Thank you, Ben. It's M211S0, and that will allow you to go below that and make sure that you have you can do that. So print run will also allow you to do that. You can actually do these codes if you're connected in your computer through Cura. I'm going to do a video on that coming up pretty soon on how you can use Cura to update the firmware on your on your 3D printer if you don't have any other way. And I know that recently I just did some updates on firmware for CR10 V3. Now the CR10 V3 uses the CR10 V2 firmware with the direct drive and BL Touch. So I don't know why they called it a V3, but in any case, and the only way to do that, because they haven't released the actual code for it yet, you have to do it through a hex file. So you have to have some way of uploading that to your 3D printer. Yes, you do, Ben. You have way too many memorized. That's for sure. That's for sure. I'm sorry that my wife is not putting up your messages today. She's under the weather herself today, and she's not with us. And Brian, of course, is out of town. So Brian may be gone for the next few weeks, just so you guys know. DeWitt 3D Canada says, Kira keeps crashing on me whenever I place an STL file. Happens on both 410 and 411. Very odd. Are you on a Mac or are you on a PC? That would be my biggest question. Mac or PC? I think you're on a Mac, aren't you, Tim? Tim, you must be on a Mac. I'm sure you're on a Mac. PC. Oh, on PC. Have you updated Windows recently? Because you may want to update your Windows back end. That might help a lot. Soft end stops. Yes, soft end stops. You're absolutely right. 2000. PC at home, Mac at work. Gotcha. Yeah, I would update Windows if you haven't done that yet. Because I found that if software is crashing on you, like it shouldn't be crashing on you. I've never had it crash on me at all, and I've got a pretty powerful computer here at home. Actually, I have i7 down here and one upstairs that are both fairly good. One's got 16, one's got 32 gigs of RAM, but you should be able to run both those 10 and 11 because I'm running 11 no problem. Peter says it happens to me as well, and it can. If you haven't updated your drivers and you haven't updated software, kernel software on Windows, chances are you could run into those problems, and I've seen that before. Well, he's on a Mac. You know, people like Macs. I see Macs all the time. I'm a PC guy. My brother is a Mac guy. You know, and we still don't have any problems in the house. When are Tim and I getting together for the CR30 build? As soon as Tim asks me to come over for the CR30 build, and I will be there. 2000 says, I'm printing a spiralized trash can in Cura. Is there any settings to get more strength? I break my can, taking it off the bed, and I tried, was more layers on the bottom. So no, what's happening when you go into vase mode or vase mode, the problem is that you're only getting one wall, so it's very, very brittle. So be very, very careful when you do that, because at the end of the day, if you're in vase mode, you have no strength because there's nothing there holding it together. I would not do it in a spiralized vase mode. I would go ahead and print it normally, give it some thickness on those walls so they stand up. That's the way that I would do that. So as soon as the rat rig's done, I will be going over to Tim's and building the CR30 with him. Okay, Jess R, or Jesse R, says, I'm going to install all metal hot end in my Ender 3 V2. I'm using Cura 4.11. I was wondering, where should I start my settings for my retractions? Leave them exactly the way they are. I would not change the retraction yet. I would go ahead and print yourself a temperature cube or a temperature tower, pardon me. and find out where you're getting stringing. Because if you're getting stringing at a certain temperature that you normally would print your material at, you're going to know that you're going to have to pull back that retraction a little bit. And I wouldn't recommend you pulling back that retraction too far. Only go down by 0.5 millimeter each time till you've gotten rid of all of that stringing. The stringing is going to be a good indication of your retraction working or not working. Yes, Eric, the Understanding Cura video is for beginners. Yes. When I tried to switch to all metal, all I got was clogged. That means that you're not heating things up enough. You may have, again, try this, do this. This is going to tell you exactly what temperature to use when you're using an all metal hot end. Coming up on Monday for our members, and you'll notice the members in our chat today all have little icons beside them. They're either purple or brown or who else is in here? Only purple and browns today. Only purple and browns today. But you'll notice that beside their name is a little icon, and that is because they are a member. So members get to see our videos a little bit early. They usually come out the day before I put them out publicly for everybody else. Okay, what else we got going on here? Where do you get the files for the temperature thing? If you look on my video, Back to Basics, we talk about doing a temperature tower. There is a link in there to doing this exact temperature tower, and this is the one I recommend. It is on Thingiverse. Actually, it is on Thingiverse. If you're so inclined and you would like to help out the channel, then we do have Super Chat turned on today. If you're getting good value out of the questions I'm answering for you, that would be very much appreciated. It goes to helping the channel and allows us to get stuff that we normally wouldn't. I'm going to be doing a video coming up very soon on comparing some new filament that will be coming out from Matter 3D. That they want me to do a test on and do a head-to-head against another one. And that's where you guys are going to be able to see the final finished Voron machine as well, because we're going to be doing some stuff with that as well. So my Voron, pardon me, 2.4, which I still have to get this decal put onto it. I don't know how well you guys can see that. There you go. I've got to put this decal on the back of my Voron so it looks good. So what else we got going on here? What do I got coming up? Well, we've got Monday. We've got the upgrade of the hot ends on the FlashForge Creator Max. We'll be doing that. That will definitely be an interesting video because we're taking their stock hot ends and we're upgrading them to an all metal. Is my Voron ready? Yes, Pierre, my Voron is ready. I just have to muck about with the fans a little bit, and then I'm ready to go. I printed a cube on it already. It seems to print just really well. And I do have upgrade parts to put into it so that I can get into much higher degrees of material. So I should, at some point, be able to print much higher degree temperatures. So DeWitt was saying he had the same thing happen to him on the Kaiwu when he put an all metal hot end on it. He find all metal hot ends need higher print temps. Yes, they do need higher print temps. You would think it would be the opposite because inside some, and I've got a couple of samples right here. Inside some 3D printers, there's this little Teflon tube, which is the same as your Bowden tube that you're going to find anywhere else. But they put it in the throat, and I have a throat right here. They put it in the throat of the hot end. And what happens is when that comes to the bottom and meets that nozzle, if you don't have a really good seal, you're going to start to build up material in there. You're going to get clogs, that sort of thing. When you upgrade to an all-metal hot end, or you go to an E3D V6, a genuine E3D V6, you will find that you're going to be printing a little hotter than you normally would because there's a lot more material here to heat up, okay? So that's something that I would definitely try. Barticus, he says, I put a Micro Swiss all-metal hot end on my Ender 5 Plus. I found no need to increase temps for printing PLA compared to the stock Creality hot end. Maybe you just got lucky. It all depends on what material you're using as well. I know with Matter 3D, I always have to print it a little hotter. I also find that Arion I have to print a little hotter, and Protopasta, anything that has a very high concentration of pure material in it, I find that you have to print a little bit hotter. So I haven't missed anybody. Hey, there's SPC3D. Initial, I see what you're saying. Ben's answering questions for me again. What's it called? Initial layer line width. Initial layer line width is that first line that you're laying down. I always increase mine to 105% for that initial line width. That's going to give me a little bit of an elephant's foot, but it's also going to squish out enough plastic that I get good adhesion to the bed. That's what that is all about. We got a lot of people in the house today. That's good. That's good. We're having a slow Sunday, but we have a lot of people in the house. Again, hit that like button if you're getting value out of today. It really does appreciate. It is really appreciated, and it helps our metrics at the end. Coming up in October, we are starting on the first weekend of October. We are starting a new contest where somebody is going to win a mystery box of goodies from us. We're actually going to be drawing 2 throughout the month, and we're going to be doing that right up until the end of the year. So there'll be 2 draws in October, 2 draws in November, and 2 draws in December. You're going to get some swag. You're going to get some cool stuff as well. So it is very much appreciated if you help us out and give us a like. That always helps out and goes a long way. Accord XTC, when TFL streams, it's always a great value. Thank you very much. Dominic Versetto, I believe a bi-metal heat break conducts heat much better than steel or titanium. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that this conducts heat much better because these little tubes tend to break free material over time. The more they're used getting heated up, the faster that they can break down. So it's something to watch. That's why I'm always saying if you can, go with an all-metal hot end, because you're going to have a lot less troubles in the end. Opinion on the CR-10 Smart Almighty Cheeto. I really don't have any details on that yet. I'm waiting for some details to come in. Right now, on paper, it looks good, but let's see what it's like when it actually hits the market. What's a good place to get a good hardened nozzle for, say, glow-in-the-dark PLA? I would go with a hardened steel nozzle. You can get them, depending on the printer that you're using, you can get just about them anywhere. Look on Amazon, if you're in Canada, I would suggest 3D Printing Canada. They have also a great deal of stuff, and they have hardened steel hot ends all the time. That's definitely who I would check out. Bi-metal is not all metal. Dominic, I just want to make that clear. Bi-metal means that you are using a tube like this little guy right there. You're using one of those Teflon tubes down the throat. An all-metal hot end has no Teflon tube that goes down into the heated chamber. Keep that in mind. Most blocks, even in all metals, are copper. Just so you know. Yeah, that's a myth that a lot of people don't know. They think that copper means that it's bimetal. No, it actually is that Teflon tube that runs right down the center of the throat. And Creality is a big proponent of that. If I open up this one, if I can get into it, I usually have a set of wrenches on my desk, but I don't today. But inside this throat that you see there is a tube, or when the Bowden tube goes in, it actually goes in all the way down to here. So it's meeting that nozzle. Most of your nozzles are going to be brass, for the most part. But if you're doing stuff like glow in the dark, you want to go to a hardened steel or a stainless steel. Dominic says the Dragonfly bimetal has no Teflon tube in it. No, it does not, but it has many different proponents to it. And I don't know why they'd be using that bimetal. That seems awfully strange to me. Maybe it's because of their combination of metals that they're using in that. Because I know that the throat on that thing is either copper or brass. Just because of the way that it conducts heat. Henry says, I need tips for printing on glass. Are you talking about a glass bed? If you're printing on a glass bed, I like to use glue stick. Just the all-purpose glue stick is just fine. Just like that. It works great. I don't have to muck about with hairsprays. I don't have to muck about with any of that. This right here is the best adhesion I've ever come across, and it's cheap. Heat sink is bimetal, not the heat break. Okay, so the heat sink itself is bimetal, so it's made up of different metals. All right. Okay, so there seems to be a wide variety of explanations on what bimetal is. Suffice it to say that if I'm wrong, but from when I got started in this, bimetal meant that you had a Teflon throat down your heat break. So that was what it was when I got into it. If that terminology has now changed, I will definitely update myself. I would say if printing on glass, it can be very helpful with BL Touch. Actually, you know what? Printing on glass, if you've got good glass, you don't need a BL Touch, in all honesty. I've actually still have a lot of printers that don't have any type of auto bed leveling system whatsoever. I find that if you are using magnet and you're using flexible build plate, it's almost essential to have a BL Touch because it's really hard to dial in. With glass, on the other hand, it is usually pretty flat if you're getting the right stuff. If you're not getting the right stuff, if you're using just picture frame glass, you're using the wrong glass. You want to use biosilicate, something like that. You want to use a glass that's meant for heat. Same glass that they use in Pyrex is the same glass that you're going to... Borosilicate, that's the word I was looking for. Borosilicate glass is the best glass to use on your 3D printer. Have you looked at the G10 print surface? No, I have not looked at the G10 print surface yet. Is a silicone piece needed on the hot end? No, it's not needed on the hot end, but it sure helps to keep heat in. What that silicone sock does is it prevents a lot of, first of all, it prevents a lot of stuff from sticking to the hot end block, so your plastics aren't going to stick to it. Secondly, it does insulate that block so your heat stays there and doesn't radiate out. CNC Kitchen got a good video on bimetallic heat breaks, non-fam. Okay, I'll have to go check that out. Clean the glass. Yes, you do have to clean glass. That is for sure. And what I would not do is I wouldn't use Windex on your glass. I wouldn't use Windex on any glass for my 3D printer. Basically what I do is I take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, I'll clean it with a pad and let that dry, and once it's done, then I'll go ahead and put on my my glue stick. Now, when you're doing that, if you've got clean glass and you want to get the glue stick off after a while, just take that glass over to the sink, run some water on it, and then just take off all of that old material. You can use hot water on it. It's not going to hurt the glass. If you just run the water on it, eventually it'll take it all off. And then you just give it a good dry, and then give it a wipe down with an alcohol, and then go ahead and put on some glue stick, and it works great. And I've had glue stick on some machines for months on end that have been repeatedly printing, and then I find out that I got too much glue stick on there. By Anycubic Chiron comes with an auto level system built into it. It's been a great help. I've uninstalled the BL Touch from my Ender 3 and level it manually. Sometimes, and this is a problem that I found with a printer recently, is check that bed underneath. The tray that the actual heat bed attaches to, make sure that that hasn't got any bends in it, because if it does, you're going to find leveling manually and leveling with a BL Touch to be a real problem. Real problem. I put the BL Touch back on my Ender 3 and it's working great now because I had to straighten out areas. So, something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind for sure. Henry, you're welcome for all of the input. That's what we're here for, is to give you guys the best knowledge that we know how to give. As I said, Brian's going to be gone for a few more weeks, so you guys are going to be stuck with me. Sorry. I will do my best to get you the best information that I can, and we go from there. So that is good. And most of my experience has been with FDM and with resin, so I can pretty much answer most things. I don't know every printer. It's just impossible for me to know every printer. Not every printer is sent to us. And I know from the market right now that printers aren't going out to influencers as much as they used to for demo. And we are going to have to see exactly what happens in the coming year now that a bunch of restrictions have been put back into place. Barticus, damn, I wish I had considered checking the plate on my Lemon Ender 3v2 before I stuck a magnetic sheet on it. Dope. Magnetic sheets on an Ender 3 are just fine. Just fine. On other high temperature printers, I'm not a big fan of them. I do have one on my my Voron, but that's because it was designed for that particular machine. So it's a high magnetic plate that's on there. Snapshot FPV. I tried an original E3D V6 on my CR-10 V, whatever number that is. I went back to stock because I could not get past the heat creep issue. That's something that can be a real problem. The heat creep, you got to make sure that you've got enough airflow going onto the thin portion of your E3D V6, because if you don't, you can definitely run into heat creep issues. And that's where the heat creeps up through the throat and into what we term as the cold zone on a heat break. So while this is our heat sink, if there's not enough air cooling this, that heat is going to migrate up into here and then cause jams and all kinds of other issues. My opinion, my option for mounting it was the stock housing. Could not find any options for a CR-10 V3. I put an E3D V6 onto Peter Reynolds' machine. We did 2 of them, and quite honestly, they're working great. At least I know one of them is. Magnetic build plates and quality magnetics. Yes, magnets are, you have to have quality. Otherwise, high temps cause adhesion or adhesive on the magnet to fail, and it does not 3M. If it doesn't say 3M on it, it's likely not that good. Chances are you're right on that. The magnets come in different strengths. So if you're looking for your classic fridge magnet, which in my opinion is what is usually put on most printers, once you start getting up above 80 degrees on the bed, your actual metal print bed will start to slide on that because the heat causes it to lose its magnetic properties, the high heat. So you need a magnet that will handle that high heat. Randy, curious your thoughts on the Kaiwu 3D printers. I've seen a couple. I don't have one. Kaiwu did reach out to me. And once I sent them our restrictions for doing reviews or our way of doing reviews, they didn't get back to me. So we don't have one. So I really don't have a thought on them. I think they look very much like another printer that's on the market. How well they print, I know a couple of guys say they print really well. Other guys, not so much. Yes, heat creep can be caused by poor cooling, and that's the point I was trying to get at, and poor performing fans. That is very true. You want to make sure that you have good fans in your machine. Never cheap out on your hot end fan. That is very true, and if anybody's updating, that is a great thing. Lulzbot, Randy, yes. They look very much like a Lulzbot. Yeah, replace the fan even at a second. I just don't think the stock housing on the CR-10 V3 will handle it. And I agree with you on that. I don't think that the stock fans can handle it very well. But that's because there are two reasons that 3D printer fans fail. One is because they're using a cheap fan. Two is because we're neglecting to clean that fan. And you're going to find, if you look at your fan right now, if you guys all just run over one of your printers and look at your fans, you're probably going to notice that there's some dirt on your fan. And it's a good idea to clean those fan blades every once in a while, blow them out with a can of air. Try not to get into the habit of blowing them so that they're spinning at a super high rate, because that will shorten the life of your 3D printer fans as well. Cheap fans are usually sleeve bearing fans. They're not very good. I would all go to, if it were me, all my printers have ball bearing fans or double ball bearing fans, just because A, they're quieter, B, they move more air, and C, they have a much longer life. I think most CR10 hot end housing mods fit all versions. The backplate, I believe, is the same. Yes, it is the same as far as I know. I'm struggling with my Kaiwu 3D printer, or DeWitt says, I'm struggling with mine. Where did that go now? There we go. Hot end issues. That said, Tripod Garage has a great success. Okay. Yes, do not put Noctua fans on your 3D printer. I can't stress this enough. Noctua fans are made for PCs and the like. They are not made for 3D printers. They became really popular for a while, but they just don't move enough air. Yes, they will over rev. The biggest problem I had with heat creep was when I changed cooling shrouds, the hot end cooling part did not extend to the heat block. They usually stopped about 4 to 5 fins up on the heatsink. Tom Taylor, you're not wrong about that. What's the best way, do you think, to splice on a replacement fan to the printer's existing wiring? First and foremost, I would get myself a connector. Now, this is a bigger connector, but You can get connectors like this on Amazon in 2-pin, 3-pin, 4-pin, 5-pin, 6-pin. And at the end of the day, these connectors I really like because all you basically do is when that fan goes, you pop it off, you put on a new fan. And usually this is the side. Let me see how close I can get that. This is the side that I put on the fan. And the reason I do that is so if the fan should go foobar on me, I can easily keep this housing and not use another housing. I just need some more pins. A 4020, the thick Noctuas are on most of my Hotends, only thick ones. They are 5 volts, so you use a buck converter on them. Yeah, see, if you have to add stuff, and not that I disagree with you on this, Jerry, but at the end of the day, I would say that Noctua fans are just not made for the purpose that we're putting them through. And while I agree with you for the most part that having that double thick fan works great, they're still not meant for the use that we're putting them through. They're meant for PCs at the end of the day. Hopefully, I'm just looking at questions here. What's the best way you think to splice on a replacement fan? And that was it, using these connectors and E3D. Yes, or pardon me, Ben Brady says that they're JST-SM connector. Yes, the JST-SM connector. That's right. The Bosk, my PEI metal magnetic bed surface works great on my CR-10 Creality carbon glass surface. I hate. Is there a good surface for the CR-10S? It's all a matter of preference. I like using glass or mirror. I find mirrors work really well because of the coating on the metallic coating on the backside of a mirror allows that glass on the mirror to heat up much better, more evenly, as well as it'll hold the temperature better, as well as mirrors are flat. They have to be flat, otherwise you get that funhouse. So if you have any deviation in that glass itself, it's coming from the bed. Buy yourself a connector kit. Yes, I agree. Is there a way to prevent movement on the tube from the coupler to by the metal extruder? There is. It's really tough to do. What you're going to have to do is push that in as far as it can go. Hold it. Grab that little clip and put that little blue clip. I don't think I have one on my desk right now. But there's a little blue or red clip that you're going to stick in there. And just make sure that Bowden tube is pushed all the way up and that the cut on that Bowden tube is nice and square. PC printer equals printer consumable. That is correct. If companies would just put good fans on things to begin with, I agree. They would save a lot of headache. I agree. Hey, we got ourselves a super chat from HVAC Ace A to Z. Thank you very much for the super chat. It goes a long way to helping this channel. Thank you again very, very much. I don't have the super chat button working right now. For whatever reason, I've lost the file. I have to make a new one. What's a good brand of fan, Peter Reynolds is asking. There are several fans out there off the top of my head. It escapes me what the name of the fan that I've been using, but I got them off of Amazon, and I think they're Sunco. I think that's what they're called. I'll send you a link to the fans later on. Yeah, Sunon. That's the one. Sunon. Sunon. Just look for Sunon fans, and for the CR-10 V3, you're going to need 24-volt fan as replacement fans, and they have them in all different shapes and sizes. What else we go? Winson is also good. The Sanska says I've never used the Winson ones. I usually use the Sunons when I can get them. Otherwise, I just order them off Amazon, or I order them off of AliExpress. Yeah, Winsun, I don't think I've used, but I will look into those. Definitely. I'd like to try that out myself. So we are almost at the end of our show. We got 5 minutes left. Wow, that hour went really, really quick. Really quick. So if you are new here, please consider subscribing, because that always goes a long way. There's that little subscribe button. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to become a member and get early access to videos and some other stuff and be entered automatically into any draw that we're having, join our membership. Down at the bottom, there's a little blue button that says join. And you can join for as little as $2 a month. And that really goes a long way to helping us out and upgrading and getting new stuff for you guys. Because not all this stuff is free. Not everybody sends me stuff for free. Sometimes I go out and buy it myself. So the only thing that beats a soldered connection is replacing the wiring altogether. Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. If you can run the wires all the way down, do it. I do like using these JST type connectors because they make things easy when you're trying to do upgrades. One of the things that I really, really enjoy is being able just to unclip it, pull it off, and then put a new part on. Instead of having to trace all the way back my wiring, it can become a really big pain in the backside. So, yeah. You're very welcome, Peter. I hope you got something out of today's show, and we are going to talk here very soon, Peter and I, because I have another one of his printers at my house, and I've got to get it on the testing bench. I just haven't had time this week. But that is pretty much the show for today, so I hope you guys got something out of today. Thank you very much, Tim. Super Chat, thank you very much for the Super Chat. I do really appreciate that. That is awesome. Awesome. It goes a long way. Goes a long way. 3D watching and 30 watching and 30 likes. The algorithm will be most pleased. Yes, it will. And thank you again, everybody. See you all. Had fun. Steve, we hope to see you again. And I had fun. I hope to see you guys all here again next week when we do the same thing, and we're going to talk about something new. And again, try and cover your questions as best we can. But until we do that, remember, guys, that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print. And I'll see you members again on Monday. And our general public will get the video on Tuesday. And then we've got another episode coming out on Friday for our members. And then, of course, regular schedule for Saturday, and then we've got another live stream on Sunday. So until we see you then, remember, first layer is always your foundation to a great print. And I'm Richard, and I'll see you guys later on. Have a great weekend.